Hey everyone, my name is Dana Peck, Director of Digital Solutions for the Afro-American newspapers, and today I am introducing you to our fellow. Yes, Aria Brent is our Meta Facebook HBCU Fellow from Jackson State University, and she's with us at the AFRO this summer. Hey Aria, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, Miss Dana?
I'm doing great. I was so excited that this program was happening again, and interviewed a couple of great HBCU students, but you definitely stood out. And so I'm wondering if you would tell our listeners, what did it take to become an HBCU Meta Fellow?
What did it take? So for me personally, when I saw the opportunity, I was like, yes, like this is perfect for me. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in several programs that are dedicated to HBCU students. And so when I see that, I'm always like, okay, like they're going to accept me for who I am, that being a very proud Black woman. They're going to take my ideas and hopefully like them. So for me, it took just a lot of brainstorming, me asking myself, the biggest thing was like, what can I'm one of the questions being like, what can social media or news sites do to become more engaging on social media? And so I thought about like, what is it that I enjoy, why they catch my attention, what keeps me reading, and then I kind of capitalized that and put my own little touch on it.
Your spin on it. Yes,
Yes,
you just
absolutely.
you shined bright during the interviews and was so
Thank
excited
you.
to meet you. And so you're from Jackson State University. And in preparation for today, I did a little research.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
understand that Jackson State is like one of the largest HBCUs in Mississippi.
It
Didn't
is.
know
Yes,
that.
we're the largest public university or public HBCU in Mississippi.
Wow. And the fourth largest school, I mean, university in general in the state.
Yes. So I can't tell you who are the three above us, but more than likely, it's Ole Miss or whomever else. But we have some size to us. There are a lot of people on campus.
Nice. Now, what do you like best about the school, you think?
I love the hospitality. As an individual who is, oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
That's what happens when you're live. It's all right.
Just a moment. Girl, I am on a call for my job. What do you need? Okay, I love you. I will call you back. We're live streaming. That is why I'm stressed. Right back. It's the fact that I didn't answer her, then she called back. Like I would have just left
Oh,
her
that's what
alone.
happened. I thought it was another person.
No, it was the same person as my god sister. She's one of my best friends in the entire world. And she'd be, I'm gonna call back again. No, I didn't answer for a reason. Okay. So to further with the question, that being what is I like most about Jackson State? I love the hospitality. I say that I am a Southern woman by way of Jackson State.
Okay.
Having originally been from Columbus, Ohio, I had never had an experience like that before. The way that the people interact with each other, the camaraderie. One thing's for certain and two things for sure, they're going to do a line dance and you're never going to see it anywhere else. I go places and I'm like, oh, like I get to bust in a move and people are like, what are you doing? And so I love it. I love my school, everything about it. Unfortunately, Mississippi being the poorest state in the union, and
Oh,
Jackson, in spite of being the capital, itself is not as affluent as it should and could be. It's not always. I'm a big city kind of girl. I'm not gonna lie. So it's not always everything that I want it to be, but it's everything that I need, and it's definitely shaped me into the woman that I am today.
nice. Now, so can you tell everybody your major and maybe how did it prepare you for this fellowship?
So my major is journalism and media studies with a concentration in multimedia journalism, and it has definitely prepared me for today. Um, just because my school, once again, has given me everything I've needed and more. So, public speaking skills, social media management, the overall how to write an AP style for articles,
Mm.
how to edit videos, how to work in radio. Like when I said I wanted to get my degree in multimedia journalism, they were like, "Okay, we got you. I can."
Right.
I can do and I have had the opportunity to have experience in everything.
Wow.
And
On
so,
air, print,
yes, ma'am.
social, everything.
Every single aspect of it. And so that was the other thing when applying, I felt super duper confident because I was like, maybe I'm not the most experienced, but I have the experience. And furthermore, even if I were to have been without the experience, I have the knowledge, and I know that I have a
Well,
set
I
of
think
skills
you
to bring.
brought the confidence too in yourself. And
Thank
I
you.
think, and that can do attitude because If you don't have that, it just makes our job so much more difficult. Just the willingness to learn is something we really appreciate.
Absolutely. I was about to say, as we've talked about before, my job as a journalist is never over. Even when everybody else clocks out at 5 o'clock, I'm like, no, actually, I'm kind of just clocking in. Or there's just always something to be learned, and news is an ever evolving thing. So, today a lot of us are receiving it digitally. Lord knows what's going to come to exist in the next 20 years, and that could be
Right.
the hottest form. It's like if I want to stay relevant, if I want to be about not even like for the sake of my career, but if I want to truly be in touch with what's going on, I need to stay up to date. And so that is where that can do attitude comes from, is the fact of like, first off, I want to learn. Secondly,
Yes.
it's necessary for me to as a journalist. Absolutely.
And so we identified you as our top candidate because we just saw your interest in the culinary journalism. And before I interviewed you, I never heard that. I mean, of course, I know that there are cooking media and there's cooking shows are really hot right now. But
Hmm.
as you know, we're promoting our cookbook, Afro Cooking, telling our stories through food,
Hmm.
each year in conjunction with our 130th anniversary. So we were like, what a great fit, great synergy. Someone who enjoys cooking, a culinary journalist who
Yes,
can
ma'am.
bring her skills to us and help our cookbook come to life. And then, of course, I think what's something special about the Afro, with 130 years of history, we want to tie in the past with the future. And so we see a future in you, as a student, and we want to reach a younger demographic. So maybe you can tell everyone about what you hope to accomplish this summer at the Afro.
Um, well, for starters, I was about to say, and I think what I've done is just been paired up with this company that I love, and I brag about it all the time to my Meta
Mhm.
mentor, is the fact that you guys are Black and family owned, and so you guys let that be felt. Absolutely, the fact that we start our music, our meetings with old school R&B, and so I wanted a feeling of belonging in journalism, just because I know that there are Black journalists, um, but for me, especially as I get closer and closer to being in my field, it's been hard to feel like, okay, like, is what you're doing necessary? Or better yet, are people going to enjoy it? Um, that kind of thing. And so coming to you all, I've been able to be like, yes, okay, like there are Black people who want to read articles or who want content about food. You guys have given me the opportunity to expand myself as a social media manager. I was about to say, being on a schedule is perfectly fine for me. I'm not always used to following it, but now for the fact of I have to because it's my job. Like that's helped me a bunch for my own personal branding too. Um, just a bunch of stuff. I was about to say the one thing that I'm definitely looking to take away from it is perhaps the opportunity to write an article for you guys, whether it just be overall or food related or whatever else in between, just to say like, okay, like writing for the school newspaper is cool, writing for leisure is fine. But like, y'all, I'm in a real deal or a
Yes.
real deal newspaper. They've been around for 130 years. Like,
You're going to be part of the archives. I mean, your show will make you part of the archives. So yeah,
yes,
we would love for you to write up what you're doing in any angle. We would love that. And then you'll forever be a part. And then like 130 years later, they'll say, hey, we had this fellow who
yes,
kicked off our cooking program. So let's get to the cooking.
yes,
So
ma'am.
okay, so this is your niche now. So
Mhm.
how did you get into cooking?
Uh, my mom's a chef. So
Okay.
my mom had a restaurant before I was born, or a catering business, excuse me, and she's been cooking all my life. And I'm the youngest and the only daughter. And so the idea of implementing me being able to cook was something that she felt so strongly about because I was her mini me. And so
Yes.
I cook, my daughter got to cook. And so then when I was about 10, she went to culinary school. And her then taking what was a passion and making it or honing it furthermore by like having technique was just something I always saw. So she learned to chop. I didn't learn immediately then, but as I started getting in the kitchen more, it was okay, well, you're doing that wrong. I'm going to teach you how to properly do it. And I was like, okay, I can appreciate that. So me having a passion for cooking and for food is very hereditary. I would love to say I fell into it. I was more than likely pushed into it actually.
Wow.
Uh, um, and yeah, the fall of 2022, I took my first like intro to media writing class where they taught me the proper style and everything. And I remember my professor was so cool, and she's like, okay, like you guys have to write an article about something that you're passionate about. And so, or just something that's like it was more than our usual article. Some of our articles were just words. She was like, I want pictures, like this many people, you got to really be a journalist about it. I was like, okay. And so I was like, well, what is something I'm passionate about? And the article was titled More Than a Meal, an article about the significance of soul food in the Black community, just because Jackson is considered the city with soul. And I was like, okay, like there's plenty of people to interview about this matter. So I wrote it and I got an A on it and I was really proud of myself. And I was like, I like writing about food. Like, I think I want to continue to do this. And at first I was like, oh, well, you got to go to culinary school. Like, you got to be able to, you got to know about food to talk about food. And I was like, okay. But as I talked about it more with my mom, having done that herself, she was like, I don't think that's what you think it's going to be. She's like, you're going to learn a lot of technique. They're going to want to stick you in a kitchen. You want to write about people who are in the kitchen,
Oh, I see. Yes, that makes
all,
sense.
all the while kind of talking about my own personal experience. I tell people all the time, I'm a cook, not a chef, right? So I'm passionate about it. I might have all the spices in the world, even some of the techniques, but I didn't go to school for this. And I don't ever intend to if I can help it. So I then started looking into like, okay, well, how can I gain knowledge about this if not going to school? Because that's what we're taught, right? You want to learn
Right.
about something, you go to school. Um, but I instead just began to look up food facts and like instead of watching like the food competition shows or like or they show you the behind the scenes of how something may like unwrap or whatever, I started watching like shows where they talked about the history of stuff or um how things are made or how this came to be and the origins or whatever else. And I came to realize like the culture and history and the anthropology of food is what truly interests me. And I was like, okay, so you like to write, you like food. I was like, is a food writer a thing? And it is. It is. And so I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a food journalist and I want to talk about food and its history and its culture, but specifically like the way that Black people have shaped it. Because as we know, we've shaped everything in this nation and a lot of things in the world. And if you thought the food or culinary arts was an exception, you're out of your mind. So I was like, yes, absolutely. This is really much, this is definitely something I want to talk about. And I would, and then furthermore, the last point being, Netflix came out with High on the Hog, which is a docuseries that
Oh, that's
they had.
right. Yes.
And the moment I saw Dr. Jessica B. Harris, and they were like, she's a food historian and she knows all this stuff, I was like, her, I want to be like her. Like, that is my inspiration. And so, ever since then, when I saw that there's her and Michael Twitty and all these other people who are food historians and just really on their stuff and super duper knowledgeable about Black food history and culture, I was like, absolutely. Like, I want to follow in their footsteps.
Oh, I love it. And then, so what can we expect? So on Thursdays, we're going to see you in the kitchen. What are we going to
Yes. So
see?
I am going to be in my kitchen here at home, and I would love to continue this when I get to school. I just know it's school. I'm a
Right.
college student living in an apartment style dorm. Um, but no, so you will see me in the kitchen. I'm gonna have some R&B going in the background just because that's what helps me relax. And then we're gonna get to it. So for this coming week, we've got a recipe from the Afro archives from the Afro Cooking School, being magic lemon cream pie. And
Ooh.
then to complement that, to stick with the theme of lemon, doing lemon chicken Alfredo. So
Oh,
I had a relative of mine, he had made it one time for an event, and I was like, I like this concept. Like I think I'm good for that's good, but I'm gonna make it great by upping it or put it like you said, my own little spin on it or whatever. So
I
yeah.
love it. Now you're making me hungry. Well,
I must say, I promise you, I'll cook for you one of these days. I know we've talked about it.
it sounds good. Now, I want to make sure that everyone stays in the know with everything Afro and text Afro to 410-936-5002. And then you'll be sure not to miss any time that Aria will be cooking and telling our story. We're so excited to have you here at the Afro. We look forward to further seeing more of your greatness. Excited about Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern on our Facebook Live. We'll put the link in the comments. And if you have any suggestions about what you'd like to see Aria cook, please put them in there too. And
Please.
look forward to pre-ordering our cookbook. A link will be in the chat as well. It's just to celebrate our 130 years of telling our story. Now we're telling it again through food and with the help of Aria Brent, our Facebook Meta HBCU Fellow from Jackson State University. Thank you, Aria. And everyone tune in Thursday at 7 p.m.
Thank